everyone. Welcome to CodeBlaque Facts. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys know that I love you and I appreciate you guys. So I'm coming to you guys today with a video talking about the progression of women in hip hop and rap music. Um, I was just kind of reflecting over the weekend and doing a little bit of research, and it made me think about like how, whether or not women in hip hop or rap have progressed or regressed. Some would say regressed, based on, the influence that women in music has had on women, just regular women out in the world. And some would say that it's progressed based on, women making money and kind of having more freedom. So I kind of wanted to just hit on those things. Um, First off, I would like to address the influence, like how music has influenced Black people as a culture, how music has influenced movements and behaviors and feelings and emotions, and music has been encouraging, and it has provided some healing and even been therapeutic to many people. So music, the power in music is extremely um, powerful, and that has been proven throughout history. I don't want to take you guys on a history lesson, but when I think about history and music, it makes me think about how back in the day, particularly during slavery, music aided many people, in coming up with ways to run off the plantation, coming up with maps, instructions, being able to hide certain coded language in music. So, music has definitely played a major part in our culture. And as a matter of fact, many of you guys already know, most to probably all genres of music, has been influenced by and are created by Black people. And that's a fact. So, from rap to hip hop to country, jazz, rock and roll, just all types, all genres, even classical. So again, we have either created it or have had a hand in being a major influence in music. And so, that just kind of goes to show how powerful music is. Um, so with that being said, I want to talk about women in hip hop and rap music. And so I want to talk about some of the first pioneers. You had your MC Lights, you had your Queen Latifahs, you had your Salt and Pepper. And, those women, they came out, late 80s. And if you really take a look at, like, listen to some of the lyrics, take a look at just how they looked, you know, it's a lot different than what you see now. So we have to ask ourselves, is that progression or is that regression? And again, this could be debatable. You have some people that say, okay, well, women have more freedom with their bodies, they have more freedom in, what they wear, their wardrobe. Back in the day, they didn't have as much freedom, some would say, because of the times, because of what was in. And so, like I said, that can be debatable, right? Um, but we definitely need to take a look at how specific women or specific time frames where these women have come into the picture have really made a change in not just music, but out in the social world, right? Because again, music is so powerful that it not only um, has influence within music and the music genre, but it also has influence out in the world, out in reality. You know, how people behave, how people live their lives, how people speak the language, how we dress. Music is very, very powerful. And there are a lot of studies and a lot of research that shows just how powerful music is as it relates to the sciences, as it relates to healing and medicine. Okay? So again, when you had your MC Lights, your Queen Latifahs, and your Salt and Peppers, these people and groups came out in the late 80s, right? Mid late 80s. And when they came out, the dress code was very different than what it was now. A lot different. If you take a look at Queen Latifah, at MC Light, she kind of, some would say she dressed hip hop-ish, right? Because even though MC Light dress was, the jumpsuits and the tennis shoes and not really wearing heels or anything like that, that really wasn't in. We got to look at the time frame. And she, at this particular time, was coming into a male dominated industry, and it still is, right? And so she kind of just got in where she fit in, but she, to me, always had a girly sense to her. Even though she had the sweatpants on and the oversized clothes and stuff like that, she always had a girly sense to her. She always wore lipstick, or she always kind of still kept it to where you could tell, okay, this is my entertainment, this is how I dress, in entertainment, but in real life I'm like this. I wear makeup, I wear lipstick, and I get my nails done or their paint or whatever. Queen Latifah, you take a look at Queen Latifah when she came out, she was rocking the hats. And when I see Queen Latifah, like those old pictures, I think about Sister Sherazade Ali. I think of, that those hats. And I remember back then, I really didn't understand the significance of Queen Latifah's look in terms of the hat. Because I grew up in, a Christian household where we went to church and people at church wore big hats. So I thought she was wearing, like a church hat. Not really understanding the meaning of what she was doing, and the spice, if you will, or that she was bringing into the hip hop and R&B rap culture, right? Um, and so for me, that was very significant. Then you got your Salt and Pepper. They kind of came and they kind of brought in more of the sexy side, right? With the dance moves and, some of the lyrics and, some of the songs and stuff like that. And then you have, which is my favorite of all time, which is Lauryn Hill, based off of just her lyrics alone. Growing up, Lauryn Hill was very therapeutic to me because, number one, when she came on the scene, just her lyrics, like how she spoke on behalf of women, and the beauty, you know what I'm saying? Like the beauty, she to me, she brought in a different standard of beauty, right? Because here she was in her own right, she had her own sex appeal, but then she was locked up, right? She had locks, and she was just such a beautiful woman, very heavily melanated woman. And for me, just seeing that, and then with the lyrics, and then how she carried herself, that for me was very profound because you know it made me look at women in that particular genre very differently, because it was like, okay, now to me, I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing some diversity, some true diversity, right? And so, and then of course after that, you had your Little Kims, your Foxy Browns. Just to kind of go over some people, you had, Lisa Lopez from TLC, Lauryn Hill, Eve, Trina, The Brat, Rod Digger. You had Lady of Rage, Missy Elliott. And now we have in the Nicki Minaj's and the Cardi B's and the Young M.A. and Meg the Stallion, and this is just to name a few, and this is not in chronological order. But yeah, so I want you guys to just go over that list of female rappers that I named and go back through some of their old music, and compare and contrast and really get a good grasp on, what I'm talking about. Like, and then ask yourself, has have we progressed or have we regressed? Now I do want you guys, some of the things that I would like for you guys to really take a look at is, some of the lyrics, the dress, the style, how people dressed, the differences in approach. Like, back in the day, there was a certain way women got into, you know, the business. And nowadays, it's almost like, if you have a really big personality, you're outrageous, you say outrageous things, you got this I don't give a F mentality. That's all you need. And a pretty face, a nice body. It just seems like that's all you need now. And this is not to take away from any new up and coming female artist, rapper. This is not to take away from any of those women. I'm sure they work hard. I'm sure, in their own right, they have done different things to get into the business. But again, there is still a difference between then and now. And we still have to ask ourselves, is it progressing or is it regressing? I personally say in many areas it's regressing. In many areas, I personally say that there was a certain pride, and this may just be me. This just may be my outlook on it because I have my own personality. I'm my own person, but I just feel like there was a certain pride. You could tell this by how like Queen Latifah, MC, how they dress, how they carried themselves. There's just this certain pride and work ethic that they brought in, and that just was different than how many of the female artists are getting into the business now, right? With and again, this is not to take away from anybody. I feel like people are good in their own right, whether it be, based on personality, based on actual work ethic, based on actual talent and skill, whatever. People, have their own thing in their own right. But I just want you guys to go back through, look at some of that stuff. And I do want to point out the popularizing of behaviors. I feel like nowadays, back in the day, from what I can remember, we danced. Like we would see, your Salt and Peppers, and I was really young when Salt and Pepper was out. I was not, I was like a baby, 4, maybe 3, somewhere up in there, like really young, when they were out. But I remember hearing their music, um, and dancing to it and stuff like that. Just being a young kid, and then growing up, and then seeing my big cousins dance to it and listen to it, and hear it, replay on the radio and things like that. And we danced. It wasn't, it really was not something that we internalized from what I can remember. But even growing up as a teenager, because see, I was a teenager, maybe not, yeah, I was probably like a preteen when you had your Foxy Browns, your Nikki, your Little Kims. I was a preteen. I was like 12, 13, I think, when they hit the scene. Um, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, wow, totally different than, uh, what I personally like, and so, and don't get me wrong now, this is not to say I did not like their music. I loved some of like the Foxy Browns. I love some of her music, some of the things that she put out. Little Kim. This is not to take away from their skill or their craft. I'm just saying in terms of how times have changed and how so over the years with different women and different groups, it's just completely changed. And a lot of that has influenced just regular everyday women. right? And how we think and how we move out here in society. It really has. And there is a bit of responsibility that women within, the hip hop rap culture have to take. It's funny because I read a tweet the other day, and I forget the rapper. It was, I want to say, Jazzy J came out and he apologized for any lyrics that he may have said back in the day that may have sent young boys on the wrong path. And I've seen that several times from different like rappers and stuff like that, like come out and apologize and, really, say, hey, back in the day, this is what it was. We didn't realize how influential the lyrics were within, society, and that people took that sometimes as their reality, and they've come out and apologized. But I've never seen that from women. And this is not to play the men do this and women do. I don't play those games, right? Because I feel like in both uh, groups, men and black women, we have our own dysfunctions in both groups that we need to work on. But I'm just pointing out the obvious. I also want to close this out with I also want to bring up the topic of how, like, a lot of how music has influenced, just your regular everyday people, because we already know music is very influential. It influences people. But I feel like it to a certain degree, it has also helped to influence, not only popularizing certain behaviors and certain, little things that we say, along with the help of social media, right? But also certain shows, like, your Basketball Wives and your Love and Hip Hops. And, I believe it also played a hand in that, because remember, when these big advertising companies put things out, right? They go and they do some research and they see what's hot and what's trending. And we know that black people, we always, making things go viral. We always making things trend, and, kind of setting the pace for what's in and what's out. We've always been like that. Just since the beginning of time, we've always done that. Always, always, always. This is why we've had a hand in every genre of music there is. We've either created it or we influenced it in some type of way. So, hands down, that's a fact. But these shows and stuff like that, like, I believe to a certain extent that, women in rap, hip hop, R&B, all of that, but specifically speaking on rap and hip hop, have had a hand in influencing, certain shows, because they go back and they do research and they say, okay, well, millions or hundreds of thousands of women, black women in particular, they are supporting this type of behavior. They're supporting women who do and act like this. So let's bring a show where we put women who do the very things that we see they're getting a lot of support for. Let's put them all on one show. And again, this is not to, I don't watch Love and Hip Hop, Basketball Wives. I used to watch it here and there, and sometimes if like something goes viral, I'll try to catch an episode to see what everybody's talking about or whatever like that. But I don't typically watch it. And so for me, I don't watch it because I just don't find it to be valuable whatsoever to the black community. I just don't. It's a fact that we do have people who, not everybody on these shows are bad. So I want to put that out there, because there are some people that I do rock with and I follow and I like. But then there are others that I don't. I think it's trash. I think what they put out is trash. I think how they portray black women or people within the black community or their relation to the black community is trash. So I personally just don't support it. So moving on, I don't want to leave off on a bad note. I do want to leave off on a good note. So some of the ways that I think that has been what I would call good progression has been, from, back in the 80s to now. These women are making way more money now. They're calling the shots. These women, you got your Nicki Minaj's and your Cardi B's. They're making way more money. They're calling the shots. They seem to have way more female support. So, for me, this speaks more streams of income. And it's always good because, again, the people in the dominant society, they've been capitalizing on several different streams of income since the beginning of time. I feel like, black folks, us, we kind of just got the memo. You know what I'm saying? We kind of would just stay in our own lane. Back in the day, if you did movies, then you just did movies. And you might have did 2 or 3 other different things, but it all kind of related. Nowadays, you'll see people like Rihanna. She's I guess R&B or pop or whatever genre people would say she fall in. She does that as her primary. That's how we know her. That's how we came to know her. But guess what? She's also got a banging makeup beauty line that's off the charts. That actually I've used her stuff, and it's actually, I like it. I like the foundation. So again, and then she's got clothing lines and so many different other things that have something but nothing to do with each other. So it's created different streams of income for her. Cardi B as well, Nicki Minaj or whatever. So I believe that more money has helped them create more opportunities, get more streams of income, maybe even have more control over certain things. I said certain things. It's also aided in helping cut out the middleman. Back in the day, you kind of almost had to go to the middleman to get certain things done. Now you don't. You can go straight to the people because you have social media, right? And you have a major influence using social media. Just tweeting something, that may go viral is a lot of times all people need to get something popping. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. You kind of had to go through these advertising companies and agencies to get things out and to push things amongst the people. But they don't have to do that anymore. So that's something that I think is good. I've already mentioned having more control over certain things in some projects. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Peace.